People who know me know that I don't talk a lot about my journey, but after having a very close friend and colleague pass away a couple months ago of mine, I thought it's the least I could do. Just want to say that tonight I'm walking and dedicating this speech tonight in honor of Kathy Burns and her family. We and many others miss you, Kathy, very much. Jim, I'm sure she's watching down on us tonight. My first thought when I was asked to speak during the Fighting Back ceremony was, what's it really mean? It didn't take very long to figure it out. It really means, what are you doing as a person to help get rid of this terrible disease? A disease that comes in many forms, but yet it's all called under one name, cancer. So first of all, we're all fighting back by being here tonight, walking with our friends, families, and co-workers, and with hundreds of survivors. For those of you that don't know why we walk during the night, it's because cancer never sleeps, and it has no boundaries as to who it strikes. So again, thank you all for being here and walking for those that no longer can. Next March will be my 10-year cancer-free. And I plan to celebrate with all my family and friends. But during that celebration, I'll be remembering all those who have not been so lucky who are still fighting the big battle. They asked me to give a brief history of my personal journey with cancer. And when I say personal, it also means with my family and friends who came along with me. For all the low points, struggles, and negative thoughts, to the high points, positive attitudes, and seeing the cancer move from within my body to a point of remission. It was September 13th, 2001, when Dr. Leckie, being a no beating around the bush type of guy, stated right to me that I had leukemia, and due to the type and stage that I needed to get to the hospital right away. I was 31 years old. Prior to getting the news and going for testing, I had not been feeling right, as I would put it. I spent a few nights in hospital during that year, but nothing was diagnosed at that time. I'd been very tired for some time. I was still playing soccer that summer, actually up to 2 weeks before I went to the hospital, but it was taking me 2 to 3 days to recover after every game. I would get bruises and cuts that would not heal. And it was not uncommon for me just to lay on the couch and watch my wife cut the grass. I knew there was something wrong then, so I continued to go back to the doctors for more testing. So my first message tonight for fighting back is, when things just don't feel right, and you and your loved ones are showing symptoms related to types of cancer, I encourage everyone to go get screening and tests done and get checked out. We all know that any earlier detections will allow for a much higher chance that you'll be walking with others during the survivor lapse. When I say my journey started 10 years ago with leukemia, my journey actually went back 2 more years prior, as my sister-in-law had been diagnosed with leukemia as well. This is my first real brush with the disease with someone close to me. I spent time visiting her at Princess Margaret Hospital in the Princess Margaret Lodge in Toronto. She put up a big, long, drawn-out battle, but unfortunately the cancer was too strong and it beat her after she received a bone marrow transplant. So my personal history with leukemia up to that point was that it was going to be a strong uphill battle. So after getting the news from Dr. Leckie, I went straight to the Northgate Hospital. I spent one night in an isolation room, and they spent hours trying to see a cancer hospital that had a bed available for me to go to right away. Dr. Leckie came back and told me I had a choice between Princess Margaret and Sudbury. I knew Princess Margaret was an excellent hospital with excellent doctors, but at the time, having a young family with a 2-year-old son and an 8-year-old daughter at home, I decided Sudbury was the best due to its close location. I can say it was an excellent choice. The personal care I got on the cancer floor at the Sudbury Hospital was excellent. I'm glad it was such a great place. Well, I would say a great place for as great as a cancer floor can be anyways. With such caring oncology nurses and staff, it ended up being that I spent 155 days in hospital going through 5 rounds of chemotherapy. My journey in hospital started with many low days, and I believe much was to do with my negative attitude at the start and really not knowing what outcome was going to be. However, it was not long when my family, co-workers, and friends encouraged me and supported me and allowed me to get into a better place. And with that positive attitude, it started to really allow me to fight the cancer head on. I had a young family that I needed to be there to see my kids grow up. I had a job I loved and wanted to get back to my co-workers. Those 150 plus days in hospital included a 3rd birthday party for my son, who stands with me today, a Christmas Eve dinner with my family, and I'm waking up Christmas morning. On March 22nd, 2001, I left the hospital for good and began my fighting back journey. Now cancer-free, but with a much positive attitude. There were many more visits to the Northeast Cancer Center in Sudbury to see my doctor and let him do those lovely bone marrow biopsies. But I was better and I was getting stronger and I was positive. I returned to my work full-time just over a year after the words that Dr. Leckie told me that I had leukemia. So fighting back. How's my fighting back included? It's included being a team captain for 5 years for a Relay for Life team. This year I was glad to join someone else's team and let them do the work, and Jeremy, thanks for that. I put together teams into the North Bay Dragon Boat Race to help the Warriors of Hope in breast cancer. One of my hardest things for me to do, but most rewarding, is I'm asked to go back to the hospital in Sudbury and speak to young men and women, who are diagnosed with cancer. These young men and ladies are just starting their journey, and I think it works well for them when they and their families can see that there are a lot of happy endings at the end of the journey. As my cancer is blood related, I wrote an article for my Works magazine encouraging people to donate blood, and they can even more so donate their blood platelets, as there was a couple of times when I was in hospital when I needed a blood platelet transfusion and there was none available. So I always encourage people to donate blood at the local clinics. We all have goals and dreams of seeing a cure of cancer, and we know it takes time, of course, and money to support research. I would ask you all, make it your goal for each of you to reach out to one person and ask them who've never been to this Relay for Life to attend next year. And all know that once you experience the power in this walk, they'll be back, and hopefully then they will bring someone back with them. If we all bring back one person next year, we'll be able to double the amount of teams here and double the amount of money for this great event. Fighting back, as you've heard, can be so many things. This is just my story of hundreds of stories around the track tonight. I'm almost 10 years cancer-free and I'm fighting back with a positive attitude, and I can still ask myself, am I fighting back with all that I can give? I believe I can give more. So I ask you all yourself tonight, can you? Thank you. Enjoy the rest of the night.